Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships, where today I will feature Venezia, and tomorrow we're doing an upgrade commander build video on the Venezia. Normally I do this on Friday, Saturday, but I couldn't get the Venezia footage I was seeking until we had this game on our live stream, actually. I didn't record my commentary during the battle, but I just recorded the battle itself so that I can give a little bit more of a thought process. I've been talking about the ship as a whole. And highlighting the ship for you here today. So, and speaking of which, Twitch, we are working on a way to get up to 50 followers. So I will put, there's a link in the description, and I'll try to remember to put a link in the comments below. If you are on Twitch and you consider just supporting to help us get to that 50 follower threshold, it's when affiliate status opens up, would be greatly appreciated. So, Venezia is a tier 10 Italian cruiser. Project of a heavy cruiser with 15 main battery guns, so you get 3 more guns than you do on the Brindisi, and I quite enjoyed the Brindisi. So you get high speed with this ship, and overall quite solid. So we're running a 12.4 kilometer concealment on the Venezia, that we've done max concealment. That will change later on. I really want to get the unique upgrade with the research bureau for the Venezia, and then also look at the commander build. We'll do that tomorrow and talk about some things I would also like to have on the ship. So you have 203mm guns, as I was afraid I was about to torp my Shetland friend, but granted it's no team damage. We're going to wait for the Benson to turn out. Broadside here is killing his speed, so 5,148 to 12,816. So the sap just smashes on destroyers, and that's one of the things I really like about Venezia. And I think that's one of the challenges I have with Venezia is I want to get close like I do in Radar Minotaur, but it's just not the same. The ships just have different play styles. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the ship in general, as we are running Luigi Sansonetti as our commander, and as in our Saturday Ohio game, we are actually going to activate all 3 of Sansonetti's talents as we DCP a double fire there from Thunder as he does Thunder things. So yes, you have 15 guns, 203mm guns. You can see with our reload time, just about over 17 seconds. We've gone for the reload mod in slot 6. In terms of her health pool, we have 51,800 hit points, and that is without Survivability Expert, if my memory serves correctly. You also get torpedoes for the ship. The torpedoes do 13,900, so they're the same as on the Napoli in that regard. There are 2x3, and they reload rather quickly, actually 71-second reload time without even building into them. So I try to spam them as much as possible when given. Also, something you're seeing me illustrate right now, or have been for the past 40+ seconds, is the exhaust smoke generator. One of the reasons why I really want the unique upgrade is that it cuts down that cooldown time by -55%. So you're able to, and you get 2 additional smokes as well. There's going to be some times in the battle that it's just really nice to have that. And as we just used the spotter plane, there's a spotter plane commander build 2-point skill you can take for cruisers that I think would actually be quite beneficial. As we're going to pick up the first Sansonetti skill, which is, I'll tell you the name here in a moment as I pull it up here on my fancy digital device. This is the Concealed Reserves talent that activates, nope, not that one. It's the Far Reach talent. It activates on the destruction of an enemy ship and extends the main gun range by +8%. You can do this once per battle. So actually that's quite nice in my opinion to have here on Venezia, because your stock gun range, I was about to pull that up. They don't have it listed here. Please have it listed here. 17.13 kilometers. And now we have spotter plane up, so I can't tell you what the 8% buff is, but I'm trying to just cover some things as things happen. Here's an example of switching to the armor piercing because Amalfi's broadside. I'm just waiting for him to ram the island. He's going to reverse, so we're going to drop the shells back just a little bit here. And pop. So big kill there, as we have now officially wrapped up our flank, and it's looking good for our team so far. The engine. So your maximum speed without Serum Mike Flag is 36.6 knots. You would be breaking close to 38 knots with the Serum Mike Flag. We'll see if I ever end up playing with... don't play with the rudder shift to see if we get more of that maximum speed out. So talking about the ship just, more in general, and then something happens in the battle, is that Venezia is really fun to play. Her armament gives her a lot of offensive capabilities. Also, some of her armor scheme does. But I have found that if you don't have your smoke ready at the handy to disengage, then it can be often a very punishing experience when you're playing Venezia, simply because if you end up showing a lot of broadside, your armor is only so good. So, we're going to be moving up here. We're paying attention that we have the Vermont, there's a Shikishima, and even a Musashi. So there's a lot of 457mm, 460mm, and 510mm. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge for us here in the Venezia. So with these sap shells, you can often do a lot of damage on cruisers, even particular battleships, especially if you hit their superstructures, as there he's going a little slower than we thought. So often what you find yourself doing with these sap salvos is you want broadside, like this Shikishima. He's a little angled, but it's enough to make our sap work. Because when you get these broadside targets and you get their superstructure, you can see these numbers are actually going to keep climbing. We're going to get some very nasty, big salvos in here against this Shikishima. So we're kind of waiting a moment here. I'm going to be bouncing forth, talking about the ship and then what's happening here in the battle as we take a big, almost 13k salvo of damage there. I'm hoping this gearing decides to just pop some smoke, but I don't feel comfortable, so I go ahead and pop my own smoke. And here's an example of that, should be the salvo, example of a larger sap salvo. 14,874 in one hit. And this is activating the concealed reserves here on Sansonetti. Talent activates upon achieving 100 main gun hits and extends the action time of all consumables by plus 10%. As we get another 14k salvo on the Shikishima. And this can be activated once per battle. It's similar to Luchensen's talent, if you put him on a cruiser. This is nice to have that additional time on our spotter plane, additional time on our smoke. As here, we're just creeping up behind the gearing smoke screen now. So we're not yellowing in. There's no need to yellow in against the Shikishima and the Musashi. So we just want to take our time here in that regard. One of the things that is a downside, though, is once you get a lot of these big damage salvos on the superstructures, battleships like the Shikishima, is that you're going to damage saturate that superstructure. So you need to learn to begin spreading your salvos across the ship as a whole. Ships that have a lot of 32mm plating, as we get a 10.7k salvo there. Ships that have a lot of 32mm plating, you can do a lot of damage because of their plating, and you take massive damage from the semi-armor piercing shells. Though other ships that are a little more stronger, like a Kremlin, Sovietsky Soyuz, Ushakov, you're going to have a harder time there in landing the big damage dealing sap salvos. So the fact that we have these Japanese battleships is benefiting us right now to that extent, as long as we are able to spread our salvos out. Another thing about the armor of the Venezia, unlike her predecessor, she features an internal belt and space armor that's very similar to the Henry IV. Her Citadel deck is also quite a bit thicker, and her upper deck is increased from the 25mm of Amalfi and Brindisi to 30mm over her midsection. Her aft and stern deck inside plating remain 25mm, but Venezia also features an extended belt armor of 40mm all the way to her bow and most of the stern. And unlike the 50mm sections of the two previous ships, Venezia's lower thickness plate actually extends above the waterline, enough to make brawling a possibility, and that she enjoys a small increase to her torpedo protection compared to her previous predecessors. Now, what I've learned with Venezia is when you want to brawl, you want to push in a target and use your 13,900 torpedoes that you can see us continue to spam out here. As we're going to utilize this island to our advantage here and taking a pot shot at the Shikishima, because Musashi is outside of our main battery firing range, which with the activated talent is now 18.5. So yeah, not a big salvage there. I think if we took a lot of those on the forward main battery turrets of the Shikishima. But you can have these opportunities to YOLO a target. Just that you have to know your map awareness has to be really well. Like if I could use smoke in YOLO Shikishima, like right now, we need to whittle his health down more. One, because our torpedoes wouldn't do the damage we need them to do. The gun turret traverse of those 510mm guns is super slow. So that can work off to our advantage, you know, and, you know, I'm pointing out there that I want to be going for that superstructure. And we're getting really close to the Shikishima's, our concealment range to Shikishima. So we're being very mindful. So I'm playing with the notion, do I want to use another smoke screen here, or do I not want to? So just playing passively till we make up our minds what we'd like to do here, and kind of seeing how the battle unfolds, taking a breather from the battle. So we are going to go ahead and open up, take another salvo, and we're going to go ahead and smoke instantly. Now, one of the challenges to the double-edged sword of the exhaust smoke generator is that if you have no other targets that are spotting for you, then you can essentially waste your smoke unless you're just disengaging and you're running to purposely run away. But you can see between the gearing and I that we've really kept the Musashi and Shikishima busy. Our team right now, we can talk about this. Our team has the lead. I think we actually have all of our destroyers are still alive, which with less than 8 minutes in the battle remaining is super rare. So our destroyer players did really well in this to live for as long as they have. With that being said, the enemy team still has a lot of health pool on the table. You know, it's me and a cruiser. We have one other battleship, which I actually need to see how much health he has. And then 4 destroyers, where you have something like the Shikishima, you've got the Musashi, and they have a Minotaur who can heal back a lot. So that is something that we're going to keep in mind here. And we have an Azuma. Actually, he has a decent amount of health. Yeah, he has a lot of health. And he's going to do something. If you're a Minotaur player, you can already guess what's going to happen here. So I want to help Azuma out. So we're going to switch focus to the Minotaur. And for some reason, don't ask me why, the Musashi is going to be spamming a lot of high explosive at us. So I don't know what target he was shooting at that he was frustrated that caused him to switch from the armor piercing to the high explosive, because most time you were firing armor piercing with those 4 and 6mm guns. So that's going to be a bit of a saving grace for us in this situation. So I just controlled J there because I wanted to see where this Shikishima salvo was going to land. So we're bringing our guns all back on target. Minotaur is capping. We're going to take some blind shots, trying to get a reset here. We want to keep our points intact. And so we're outside the main battery firing range of the Musashi and Shikishima, so we can fire and not be detected unless Minotaur steps outside of her smoke. Now, Minotaur has Hydro up. And what does Azuma do? Azuma comes out and conga line torpedoes and loses almost all of her health in totality. And then Minotaur goes ahead and is like, well, I'm going to open up now. And the Azuma has high explosive loaded. And he knows the Minotaur's been sitting there the entire time. So, what? So that's terrible, as we just lost our Jetland. So we've actually lost 2 destroyers in the past minute since I just commented on how well they've been doing to live and be alive for so long. Now, one of the things, as my phone's going off here, excuse me, is that the Minotaur beats us in concealment. So us trying to push in to deal with this Minotaur, which I'd very much like to do, is not wise, because now with the battleship threat gone, both the Shikishima and Musashi, knowing that they need to win, are going to push up and they're going to support their Minotaur player. So that's really good for them. We've broken 200k damage, and now you're going to be seeing us utilize a lot of the propulsion, as we're not getting the big damage salvos as we once were. So that's when aiming really comes particular when you're dealing with battling targets, like these big massive armored turrets that the Shikishima and Musashi have. So I'm going to be playing with our throttle a lot here. So just an overpin there. We don't take anything from Musashi. And we're going to start accelerating again. We have no more smokes left. Another reason why I really like having the, no damage there. So this is when it gets really very much a struggle when you're trying to get some damage salvos in there. So I'm trying to land right. He's not moving too fast. So we have to keep that in mind as we're going to keep spamming torpedoes. So this is where that struggle becomes when you're just only with the semi-armor piercing and the high armor piercing, or something like high explosive would be very beneficial for us. Now what I thought the gearing was going to do was just stake out on the broadside on the 5, 6, 7 line and torp them as they push into the cap, but he's elected to disengage and go very wide. He's providing the spotting for me, but I mean we're already opening up here and the Shikishima and Musashi are firing back at us. But he's decided to go and back cap, which is probably a safe option to go for. But for me to really have the strength that I need, like if he was close enough to spot the Minotaur player, and you know I could finish the Minotaur player off very easily with this armor scheme, because it's just this big ship advantage that's going to be very much a challenge and struggle for us at this point into the game. And the Minotaur player is pushed up. Our Sashio player, I think he was drilling at the thought of coming up and torping a Shikishima and Musashi player with his deep water torps that only hit carriers and battleships, that he forgot that there is a Minotaur player on the board. And so he is effed up extremely, turning broadside out to the Minotaur player, as now we activate the Confederate, the third and final skill of Luigi Sansonetti, which is the rapid fire talent that activates upon earning the Confederate achievement and reduces the reload time of his main battery guns by -15%. So we were over 17-second reload time, and let's see what happens here. So we're going to take a blind shot, I think. Yeah, we're over 13-second reload time with our health pool being this low. So we do get resets, but unfortunately no damage there. He's moved up again, and we're going to find the map border. I don't like being on the map border, but it's like I don't want to go broadside to a Shikishima nor a Musashi. Granted, Musashi's behind island right now. And if I go broadside while detected to the Minotaur's AP 152mm guns, we will die very quickly. As some of you know that I really like playing radar Minotaurs, so I'm very capable and aware of what these guns do. So we get another heal off. You can see the heals actually can be really sizable, but I want to get off the border as the Shikishima is bearing down on us. And you can see we're pulling up our 13.5 kilometer torpedoes again, expecting Shikishima to probably turn in towards the cap a bit. So that's why we drop it back off to the left more so. So the enemy team has now passed us in points. They have 3 caps. We're about to get 3 caps to our 1 cap. Our gearing is moving quickly to back cap, but because we've lost the Sashio player, we've just lost a lot of players here at the end, it's not going to do us any good as we are 30 seconds on the clock. We speed juked the salvo of the Shikishima and being slow. Now I'm hoping to trade and take the Minotaur with me, as I could have actually DCP'd here, and I was just so caught up in what was happening. We could have lived maybe just slightly longer, but I don't think we would have gotten another salvo off. Unfortunately, we don't kill the Minotaur player, and the enemy team is really close to 1,000 points, but they're just going to win here, as you know, we were running out of options with a 2 and 41k game. So it was a good game, and for me, I feel like it really illustrated the strengths and the weaknesses of Venezia when you're running low on that smoke, and you just don't have it, something that the unique upgrade contributes to. So 241,000 damage. We've got 2 destroyed. You got the 3 citadels on that poor Amalfi earlier in the game, some defended ribbons, and the Confederate and high caliber. Moving on to the next screen, we did 1,450, or is it 68 base XP on a loss. Our gearing seconds, and you can see that our 2 Jutlins, Azuma, they did good, but Azuma really effed it up there in the end with the conga line torpedoes and HE against the Minotaur. Yes, and here's the damage layout. So however, 108,000 damage on that Shikishima alone. Probably should have folks switched more to the Musashi because he wasn't so damage saturated at that point, and we could have gotten some probably even more damage. But I perceived the Shikishima as more of a threat because Musashi was high explosive. And that's going to bring this video to a close. Tomorrow we'll do upgrade commander build. I'll show you the build I've been working on right now and the build that I ultimately want to, I think, going to switch to with the Venezia once I get enough research bureau points to pick up the unique upgrade, the legendary module here for the ship. So as I said, this game was a live commentary one on Twitch, so if you want to follow and support us getting to 50 followers there on Twitch, I would appreciate that. So if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.